Hello everybody and welcome to the okzoomer YouTube channel. I am okzoomer and this is a video thesis statement about the okzoomer YouTube channel and the various shows that I'm going to have on here. Today I am going to be discussing the okzoomer YouTube channel, the various shows on the okzoomer YouTube channel, and my various goals and intents with the various shows and programs, if you will, on the channel. I don't know, some YouTube channels have really cool flashy trailers, montages of all their best bits, their highlights, their greatest moments, and I have a channel thesis statement. And if that doesn't tell you exactly what kind of channel this is, I don't know what will. But yeah, today, like I said, we're going to be talking about the 5 various shows I plan to have on this channel. That might change over time, but the 5 I want to start out with are okramble, okessay, okzoomer, OK You're On, and compilation videos. Specifically, I want to dive into the okzoomer show, as that's kind of a flagship, but I do want to talk about all of them to some extent. But you might be asking, why even make a thesis statement? And to that, I would respond, I think it's important that we state, as any kind of creative, what your intent is with creating something, especially a long-form piece of content like the series I want to make. If you need an example of what I'm trying to communicate here, look at the Nostalgia Critic. Doug Walker started his channel as a reviewer who reviews nostalgic media, right? Stuff that's like 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, stuff that you would have nostalgia for, and looking at it with a fresh set of eyes, right? Now, obviously, Doug Walker, not the most serious critic there is out there, right? But that's the original idea behind it. But as the Nostalgia Critic kind of went on, it lost a lot of that original purpose, right? You look at the channel today, and it's mostly modern movie reviews, stuff that's come out in the last 5 years, stuff that's, it's been a while since I've seen the Nostalgia Critic, since I've kept up with him, I mean. But when I was watching it, I remember like 10 years ago, I guess now, geez. It was stuff that was like still in theaters sometimes, and it was very bizarre. Especially when his stated purpose was, I review nostalgic properties, and that's not really something he did when I was watching him, and not really something it seems like he's doing nowadays either. And to be fair, that's not a bad thing, it's just that's not what he set out to do. So for me, I want to state my various intents with these shows I want to be doing. So if I stray away from them, I can kind of point back to this and say, hey, this is what you're supposed to be doing with these various shows, and either, stop making the show, and maybe create a new one instead, or get back to the original purpose of what I set out to do, right? I think that is important when you're doing a show like this. Another thing I want to talk about is my schedule. The schedule is going to be a little bit wacky for a while. I am working a 40-hour job outside of doing YouTube here, so I'm going to try to upload once a week. That's not always going to be possible. At the bare minimum, I will upload once a month. We'll see what happens with that, right? Hopefully I can stick to my goal of once a week. At the very most, I will be putting a video out once a month. So hopefully I can stay on that goal, but we'll just have to see what happens for YouTube. For Twitch, the schedule is going to be even more all over the place. I will stream whenever I have time, and the idea is I will stream a game and then make a video out of it, and then whenever I'm done making the videos, I will go back to streaming, and then that kind of cycle goes back and forth. So maybe I'll stream for like a week, stop, edit, stream again, and kind of get myself into that cycle. We'll see how that goes. I might also want to stop streaming just to work on other videos that are don't have me streaming games for them necessarily, like some of the essays I want to do, and some of the essays I want to do, and then some of the other videos I want to do might not necessarily require me to stream, so I might stop just so I can edit those videos better. But we'll see what happens, and whenever I'm streaming, I'll try to give an update like a week in advance. But yeah, let's jump into the various shows, and let's start with this format I'm doing right now, the OK Ramble format. This is an OK Ramble, and an OK Ramble is a style of video I am 100% stealing. Basically, I'm kind of taking overly sarcastic productions, their the detailed diatribe. I don't know what happened there. Their detailed diatribe format, and kind of just going with it. So basically, this is I wouldn't even call it semi-scripted. I have it written down here as semi-scripted, but that's kind of wrong. Basically, I have a PowerPoint, and I have notes, and I'm kind of going off of that just to kind of keep me on course. But it's not really a lot of script, right? It's going to be shot in one take. I'm going to do very minor edits. This video, like, for example, has the background from the Baldur's Gate 3 intro, from the main menu, I mean. All credit to Larian Games. If you haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, go play it. It's fantastic. It's going to be either like this kind of format where I have a kind of like PowerPoint elements to it, or it's going to be closer to the other OK Ramble I'm going to put out, which is the Baldur's Gate 3 companion ranking tier list. Not a tier list, excuse me. It's like a listicle. It's like my favorite companions ranked worst to best, basically. I might do some of those, and that's kind of the extent of the editing I want to do. And if you see that video, it's not particularly edited. It's not particularly heavily edited, I mean. I might kind of remove some like stutters, or I might kind of take some stuff again, but it's more or less going to be all shot in one take, as compared to some of the other videos, which I might kind of do more heavily scripted, and I might do like more, I don't know, serious script reads, as opposed to this, which is going to be more of a kind of organic kind of thing. One worry is I might get a little stuttery, a little rambly, a little all over the place, and I might not have the best speech. But the kind of idea here is a little bit more organic. I also think a lot of the videos I want to do take up a lot of time in the editing room, which is my second bedroom. But yeah, they take a lot of time to edit together. And so if I can put something out just to keep me on track for that like once a week upload schedule, which these videos are a lot easier to produce. They're a lot less stressful to record. They're a lot easier to edit. And that's really the main idea. They're kind of like the filler, not filler, they're kind of, filler sounds bad, but it's kind of what it is, right? It's kind of letting me fill the cracks between like the bigger videos, and hopefully also still be enjoyable, still be insightful. These might be all over the place. The ones I have so far, there might be kind of more specific topics in video games. They might be more talking about video games in specific. I have a handful in the back of my mind. Like I have one about Tears of the Kingdom, why it doesn't really hold up to Breath of the Wild. I have that one in mind, at least in my opinion it doesn't, but that might kind of change. Not gonna get into that here. I have one about Arcane versus Andor, why I think one works and the other doesn't. I have another one I literally just thought of the other day and wrote down, and now I am blanking on it. But yeah, they're kind of all over the place, really. Some might be slightly more zoomed in, some might be slightly more zoomed out, some might talk about a game, some might talk about game mechanics. Just kind of depends, right? A little less editing, a little less research, more slideshow based. Might end up doing an audio only version. I have to figure out how to make that work, but yeah, that's the general idea with OK Rambles. Moving on, compilation videos. These are compilation videos of my Twitch streams. Not really a lot to say there. They're mostly going to be off of the OK Zoomer series and the OK You're On series. While I'm here, I think the thing of note is the name convention of the shows. So all the other shows are going to have a pretty standard naming convention. Basically, it's going to be the name of the game or the name of the subject discussed, and then the name of the show. So I have a review on the OK Zoomer show about the Fallout show, and that is, I have a review of the first Fallout game, and that is Fallout 1997 is the title, and OK Zoomer. Or OK Zoomer or whatever, right? I might change the format around a little bit, so like that one would be like Fallout 1997, dash okzoomer, while like an essay would be like against video game adaptations, an OK essay, right? Or an OK ramble, or whatever it is, right? Compilation videos, however, are going to differ in that they are going to be kind of parodying these articles. I'm sure you guys have seen them. It's like Gen Z's falling behind in the workplace. What employers have to say about that? Gen Z is overspending on avocado toast. How will they afford mortgages? You know, like you've seen these videos. So it's going to be parodying that format. So like I have one for the compilation of my playthrough of Fallout. And that's going to be Gen Z is struggling in the wasteland, and then in parentheses, whatever game it is, right? So it's going to be Gen Z or some other slang for younger generations, Gen Z, kids, Zoomers, whatever. And then some kind of parody based off the game that is being played. So like Fallout struggling in the wasteland, right? I think Shadow of the Colossus, I want to do that one at some point. That might be like Gen Z is killing these magnificent beasts, or something vaguely like that. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. Nothing super complicated. Edited compilation videos. Yeah. Okay, you're on. This is another show. Specifically, this is going to be challenge shows, challenge runs, I mean. So these are going to be compilation videos at some point. I'm going to make a compilation of my playthrough on Twitch. But then I also want to go back and just kind of talk about the challenge run, break down what happened, talk about the challenges, my experience, if I recommend them or not. So I'm going to have a Nuzlocke video coming out soon, and then I'm going to have a compilation video to that, and then also a OK You're On, which is just going to talk about the challenge. If there is a kind of documented history that I can go into, kind of talk about the history there. Nuzlocks are kind of great for this because like there's like an actual like documented history of Nuzlocks. Like you can point to say, that guy invented Nuzlocks. He's the first one that did them, right? Very easily compared to like speedruns or something, right? That's maybe a little trickier. But yeah, I'd be kind of talking about the challenge, my experience with it, if I recommend them, tips, tricks, all sorts of things that kind of go into successfully completing a challenge. Oh, also, right, if I personally succeeded in doing the challenge or if I failed in doing the challenge, right? Another thing about challenge runs in specific, about why I kind of want to do challenge runs. One, it is kind of the thing of pure optics, right? I am going to be trying to entertain people on here, so I think that challenge runs are more entertaining than like a regular run, right? There's another aspect that's like very purely if there's 500 videos of a video game, right? It's a lot of competition. If there's only one video of you playing this video game in this one way, there's not going to be that much competition relative to like what you're doing, or you're going to stand out more, right? So that's what I mean kind of by the optics of it. Another thing is just I personally enjoy them. I think they're very fun. Not only do I enjoy doing them, I enjoy watching them happen. And I think one of the big things I really like about them is that they have a really fantastic like story potential. And this is kind of a discussion of what is the pretentious, there's a great thing of ludonarrative dissonance. Oof, the video review essays are paying off. But yeah, there's this like really crazy ludonarrative dissonance that happens in challenge runs, because you're playing games in ways that developers did not intend for you to play most of the time, and that creates this kind of story that kind of grows organically out of the constraints of the challenge run. Right? Like if you see a Nuzlocke run, the developers of Pokemon never really intended for you to be like that attached to your Pokemon, and you can kind of just tell by like a lot of the moves, right? But playing it like that like really gives the game stakes it doesn't otherwise have, which was really invigorating to someone that's played Pokemon a whole bunch, you know? And like even like one of my favorite runs on YouTube is Many True Nerds Kill Everything run of Fallout 3, and that completely changes the story of Fallout 3, right? He's playing a psychopath that's like killing everyone, and so like the game and the story is completely different, and I think that has two effects. One, it creates a story that is completely new for the audience to engage in. It's completely different from the base game, and that's what I mean. It has two effects. One, you can engage in that story by itself, and then two, it kind of insulates the game from like getting spoiled, because like it creates this like really weird bubble around it where like it's completely its own thing, which is like super interesting. You can also see this in like Griffin McElroy's Peacecraft. That plot of Warhammer, Warcraft is like completely ruined by him being a pacifist. You know, like it's creates like a story within itself, and I think that's something really cool about that. You know, like you don't necessarily need challenge runs for that, but I think it really incentivizes it, right? It kind of makes it happen almost organically by kind of twisting what the game is supposed to be by adding like stakes to it, you know? But yeah, that's kind of why I really like challenge runs and why I want to focus on them in particular. Another show that's going to be on here is OKSA. This is going to be pretty straightforward. It's an essay, right? It's video essays. What's the difference between this and Ramble? The format and the quality, right? Essays are going to be fully scripted. They're going to be better researched. They're going to be more thought out. They're going to have better editing behind them. They're also going to take longer to make. But yeah, that's really the main difference. You're not going to have these like weird awkward moments of silence where I'm trying to figure out what to say. They're all like fully scripted. I don't know what happened. This is like the one with like the least notes. It's literally blank for like half the page. Well, I guess there's not really a lot to say to it. It's a video essay. Yeah, be various topics, video games, game mechanics, maybe some more industry stuff. I have one in mind talking about the definitive editions of games, which is something I thought was very interesting. I have it like somewhat planned out. The first one I want to put out though is about adaptations about video games, making them into movies and TV shows. Specifically talking about the Fallout show, talking about the Mario movies of late, and talking about the Last of Us TV show. And so lastly, I want to talk about the OK Zoomer show. This is the one I really want to dive into here. The basic idea of OK Zoomer is I want to review retro games, but from the perspective of a younger generation, specifically mine, Gen Z. A little bit about me here. I am a Zoomer. I was born in 2001. My first console was a PlayStation 2. And growing up, I kind of had this affinity for games a little bit before my time. In fact, I would say like the three games that got me into video games are Knights of the Old Republic, Shadow of the Colossus, and Oblivion. All three were just a little bit before my time, right? Like, off the top of my head, KOTOR is like 04, Shadow of the Colossus is 06, and Oblivion, I want to say, is 07. So just a little bit, like, I was 6 at the latest release there. And they were all very impactful to me, but they were all games that were a little bit odd for me because I didn't really engage with any of them by playing them, at least not when I discovered them. They were very impactful to me in different ways, though. Shadow of the Colossus, all of these I discovered through YouTube, YouTubers and YouTube channels. Shadow of the Colossus just struck me like how massive you can make creatures in video games, like how big and like massive the Colossus are, and like the scale of it was really like breathtaking. You know, coming off playing like Mario and Pokemon and seeing that, it was like, holy shit, you can make that and then climb it. You know, it was nuts. But Shadow of the Colossus was a game I didn't really play until much later. And I didn't even have it on the PS2. I had it on the PS3, the re-release on the PS3. And I played it, I want to say, like 12 or 13 or so. I found out about it like way before that, though. Knights of the Old Republic, again, found it through YouTube, and I was in awe of its story, right? Like, that was not something I'd ever seen before in a video game, was just the scale of that the story and the narrative of it, the fact that these were like fully like three-dimensional characters, which was not really something you got in the games I was playing before. So it was like really cool to see. And this is the one I actually did play very young. I remember I had this. I really did not get far when I played it myself, though, and that was because the mechanics were very alien to me from what I had played before. I did not get them at all. To be fair, part of that is I was a stupid kid, but like RPG mechanics of that time were completely foreign to me. I did not get them at all. And I really failed to progress at all. The most I got to in KOTOR for a long time, up until like last year, would have been through Korriban, I want to say. I didn't get past there at all. Then Oblivion, again, saw the YouTube videos, and I was like, just amazed by it. Skyrim came out, I was amazed again. I couldn't play rated M games as a kid, so I didn't. But I found out, hey, before there was Skyrim, before there was Oblivion, there was Morrowind, and that game is rated T. And I got it. I got Morrowind. I got even less far in Morrowind than I got in Knights of the Old Republic because, again, the mechanics, that one more so than Knights of the Old Republic even, because I had this conception of it that it was a action RPG, and I was, swinging my weapon at like the fucking pterodactyls. I need to go back and play Morrowind, so I'm not 100%. But like I would be swinging at the pterodactyls, and I was like, this isn't doing anything. Why isn't it doing anything? Not realizing that there was dice rolls happening behind the scenes. I really failed to progress. But like all three of those games were like massive. Oblivion, Skyrim, and Morrowind, just to see like the scale of the world, just seeing like, hey, you can have this in a video game, this massive open world to explore with all these characters roaming around with their own like personalities and ideas and quests. And yeah, the Elder Scrolls, Knights of the Old Republic, and Shadow Colossus were all like massive for me for getting into games, but they were not really games I played myself. And the point I'm kind of getting at here is that OK Zoomer is kind of about that exactly. It's about preserving video game history at its most pretentious, right? Is what OK Zoomer is. The question at the heart of OK Zoomer is, can we play older retro games and can we enjoy them and engage with them? Out of all artistic medium, right, video games are the newest and the fastest aging. Video games age ridiculously fast. If you look at it, right, the games I was playing then were not at the time super old, but they were almost immediately outdated by like everything else I was playing, right? Because I was playing PS2 games and then very quickly I was playing PS3 games. They were very different in feel from when I was playing those other games, and I just couldn't get my head around it. Another aspect of this is just pure preservation, right? If we're talking about going from PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3, there's a lot of games that got lost there that you couldn't play on the PlayStation 3 that were on the PlayStation 2. And this is happening all over the place, not even just with console generations, but even on like a PC, as companies kind of go under. The ways that you can purchase games is becoming more limited as consoles and computers become less reliant on CD drives, and everything is more online. There's less storefronts that are willing to sell games. I mean, look at Lionhead Studios is a perfect example of this, right? If you want Fable 3 or Black and White 1 or 2 or the movies, you can't buy those games anywhere online. You can't buy them on Steam, you can't buy them on Good Old Games, you can't buy them on Origin. There's no way to purchase those games. You have to pirate them. There is no other way. And as such, there are a lot of games which are prone to become lost medium. GTA 5 is also like a very fascinating one to me. I remember specifically, I have a story here about GTA 5. I remember when I was in freshman, this would have been in like 2015, I was talking to a friend about what we were playing, and I was like, hey, I'm playing GTA 5, and I'm playing it on PC. And the friend I was talking to looks at me, and he's like, why are you playing that old-ass game? GTA 5 at the time was 2 years old. The PC port came out that year. It's just like really fascinating to like see how people react to like games in that way, where something that's like 2 years old is considered outdated, like old. It's not even like relevant to the discourse anymore. It's crazy. It's really interesting how fast gaming is progressing, and I think we're kind of getting to a point now where we're kind of leveling out. Like the progress in between generations has been slowed down a lot, but I think still it's very telling. And yes, I think that's really kind of the point of the series is let's go back to like some of these games and let's see how well do they hold up. Are they still fun to play? Are they playable even by modern standards? And I guess that brings up a point. What exactly qualifies for this series? I am kind of artificially here saying that 2006 is the cutoff point. I think this is kind of perfect right now. It's going to be 20 years from the debut of the show, 2026, 2006, 20 years. I think it's also a personal thing. The PlayStation 2 was my first console, but the PlayStation 3 and games of that generation is what was really formative for me. I also think, kind of going outside of myself, the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 era is kind of the formation of modern gaming, right? PlayStation 2 in particular, I think, is the beginning of the modern gaming era, right? If you look at who's in business there, right? You have the PlayStation 2, you have the GameCube, you have the Xbox, you have Sega with the last console that they would ever put out, right? So you have all the big players there, but you also have a lot of experimentation going, right? You have the standardization of what modern gaming is, but also a kind of transitionary era where there's a lot of experimentation, right? Sega's still in the race, where they would not be in the next generation. Xbox is just driving at the scene. You look at the controllers, right? This is the first generation that would have the modern gaming controller of the 4 back buttons, the 4 face buttons, the 2 joysticks, right? And not even like everyone. The Dreamcast controller is crazy if you look at that one. The GameCube controller is very odd by modern standards. The PlayStation controller and the Xbox controller are basically unchanged from just this generation. I think there's also a lot of game by game, it's very different. There's a lot of experimentation going on in the sort of middle ground between indie games and AAA games, which is not really a significant middle ground that exists nowadays. But at the time, it was very much a vibrant scene in the PS2 era, where you had games like Katamari Damacy, which were not small games, but they weren't AAA games by any stretch of the imagination. But there were these weird experimental titles that really found an audience where, they brought out this like really wonderful, simple ideas. I think also Bully, I would maybe put in that same category. These middle games that really don't exist anymore. The PS2 era is kind of what I'm getting at, is it's the end of a kind of Wild West era, where afterwards then you kind of have a standardization in the next gen, in the 7th generation. You get the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, you get the Wii, which is a little bit of a curveball, but I mean, Nintendo kind of always is the curveball there. Sony and Microsoft both get very standardized. I don't think there's a lot of innovation between the PS3 and the PS5 or the Xbox 360, and I think it's the Series S nowadays. I'm sorry, I don't keep up with Xbox. It's really, to my mind, the start of... It's a combination of factors, though, why I'm saying 2006. Personal reasons, and then also I think it's the beginning of the modern gaming era. Yeah. Another thing of contention here is how will I play these games? As I mentioned before, it can be really hard to acquire a lot of these older games nowadays. And that kind of brings up a discussion between emulators and ports, and remakes and remasters and all that, and I will touch on that a little bit later. The methods that I will be kind of playing these games with will be listed in the reviews, and anything that needs to be made to be done to the games to make them run. For example, I was originally going to do a Deus Ex video that's been scrapped. I might revisit it later. But I needed to download certain things off online. I'm misremembering now exactly what I needed to get. But I needed to download certain things online to kind of make the program work, because it didn't work just by itself off of Steam, which is the case for a few games that are maybe a little bit older nowadays. Some games were great. I just did Fallout, and that worked perfectly. It was fantastic straight out of the box. But other games, you need to tinker with them a little bit. Another one, the movies. That one's been a headache to try and get working. I am very open to using emulators and ports. That will be a very open thing. I think real quick before I get into that, personal hardware I have my PS3, I have my Nintendo Switch, and I have my laptop. That is mainly what I'm going to be working with for now. I will really not be using OG hardware. To my mind, that's kind of the point. This is a review of not only the game itself, but the modern perspective of these games. So playing them on modern hardware is kind of the point to my mind. And now let's also get to ports, remakes, and remasters. But first, let's also define what we're talking about here. Ports, I consider, are games that were made on one console and then put onto another console, so with like relatively little changes. So for example, maybe a game originally released on Xbox and then was put on PC. That is a port. Remakes are basically games that have basically been entirely updated, right? They have taken the game, scrapped it, and rebuilt it to be designed after the original game, but it's been kind of rebuilt from the ground up as a new experience. Versus remasters, on the other hand, are basically like taking the game as it is and just updating the graphics for modern hardware. This is not a trinary. It's not. This is a port, this is a remake, and this is a remaster, and it fits really neatly into that box, and that is all it is. It is a sliding scale. It is like a character designer triangle, where it can be anywhere in that box, right? Like you have the Rockstar ports. They change a lot from the console version to the PC version. There's a lot of features there that are not available on the console version that got put into the PC versions. Oblivion, I believe, it was marketed as a remake, but it's really more of a remaster because of the graphics. But there's also been some changes to the game design that are like very minor. It's not universal, but generally that's what I mean when I'm talking about them. And so how it will work for this series, if a game and it's port and remake, remaster, whatever, it was released prior to 2006, it qualifies automatically. Sid Meier's Pirates. There is the OG version. Let me double check the years on this. There's the remake, which is 2004, and then the original 1987. Both of those qualify. I might do one video on both of them together, or I might do two videos separately, just kind of depending on the how much time I have, I guess, how long the game is. Again, kind of case by case. Something like Persona 3 Reload, though, I would maybe consider that, maybe not. Like, that's really the border I would consider Persona 3 Reload. If it is made like past 2006, it's going to be case by case basis is what I'm getting at. So something like Persona 3 Reload, I would consider that to be like an edge case, because there is a lot of changes made from the gameplay. But I don't know. I can see it going either way. I would have to like lay out my reasoning prior. Like Shadow of the Colossus, I'm gonna do that. As one of my upcoming videos. I'm going to be playing PlayStation 3 version. I am perfectly okay. There's been minimal changes made. I don't think there's, in fact, any changes made to the gameplay. It is just like the graphics got a minor update, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Even like the updated PS4 version of Shadow of the Colossus, I think I would be pretty okay with. I haven't done a lot of research going into that, but I think for the most part, it's relatively the same game. And whenever there's not been a big change to the gameplay, I am more or less fine. If there has been a lot of changes to the gameplay, I will be less fine with that, and I'll be more inclined to maybe play the original instead. But generally speaking, ports are going to be perfectly fine. Remakes, remasters are going to be kind of a case-by-case basis. If I'm really not sure about something, I will put it up to you guys. I'll ask you guys and try and keep me straight, you know. Another thing of note here is what each video is going to be kind of talking about. What I want to discuss with each video is the history and the development of the game, my personal prior experience or exposure, if any, with the game, my ability to run the game, right, if I was able to get it running good, or what I used, right, my thoughts on the game, the legacy and impact of the game, and if I recommend the game or not. And that brings us to my rating scale. I don't really believe in rating scales when it comes to media. To me, it's kind of all arbitrary. So what I'm going to be doing kind of instead is a very simple 3-tier rating. I recommend it, I don't recommend it, or I recommend it if you are this kind of person. I will be putting this on any review video as a green thumbs up, a red thumbs down, or a yellow sideways thumb. And basically what these rating means, green thumbs up, I 100% fully recommend this. No matter who you are, you should give this a try. I think this game is great. Thumbs down, I don't recommend this. I think this will be pretty rare where I straight up say, hey, don't play this game. There will be some cases though where I'll be like, hey, this game is not good, or I think there's other better options, or I have some problem where I cannot say, hey, play this game. And then a play this if you are this kind of person is a more targeted recommendation, and that will be one where I have to explain my reasoning a little bit more. Generally, if I give something like a green thumbs up, I'm saying, hey, play this, don't spoil it for yourself. If I'm kind of giving a yellow sideways, I'm like, hey, so like, this is not going to be for everyone, and I don't think everyone should try it per se, but if you're like this kind of person, you might find some enjoyment out of this, right? So the Fallout 1997, the first Fallout game, I gave a maybe play this, and I specifically am saying like, hey, if you're a CRPG fan or a Fallout fan, you should play this. Otherwise, maybe give this one a skip. It's just going to be kind of situational. I personally believe that review scores are kind of nonsense. And I think what matters more is the content in the review, so that's kind of my thinking there. But I also see it kind of beneficial for me to kind of state my general thoughts. So I want to do something where you can kind of get a general idea of my feelings, but not something like numbering, like a numbered tiered review is just kind of a headache to me because it's kind of nonsense. But yeah, that's really everything. Hopefully this wasn't too terrible of a video. It wasn't too rambly and nonsensical. But yeah, that's really all I got for today. Thank everyone for tuning in. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I can answer them. If you like the channel, like what I'm trying to do here, drop a subscribe. God, it feels so fucking cringy doing this. I also have a Patreon. Check that out in the description below. I don't have any idea what I want to do with that. But if you want to support me, you can support me there. Thank you very much for your time today, folks. The cat's getting angry at me. Bye.